Eureka Tigra Ride-on Sweeper Machine. Going to give you a training video and a quick overview of the machine. So this machine is for dust and debris, and it'll be used in most warehouses and factories. So ideally for picking up dust and small bits of debris and used in dry conditions. Ideally you would stay away from any sort of damp, and certainly you would stay away from wet conditions. So I'll give you an overview of the machine. Underneath here, we can't actually see it just now, I'll show you in a couple of seconds, but underneath the seat is a main brush, and the main brush is surrounded by dust rubbers at each side and a dust flap at the front. This ensures when you're picking up the small bits of debris that the dust goes into the main brush and goes into the bin, and it also ensures that there's no dust being kicked out and up into the atmosphere on your products, or obviously on any persons that's going by. So it's ideal for that. You've also got two side brushes on the machine. You've got one on the left hand side and one on the right hand side. These side brushes, 90 times out of 100, these would be kept in the up position, because you only use these when you're doing the side. So when you're doing the left hand side, whether you're going up against pallets or up against a wall, you put the left hand side one down, and all it's doing is just moving and then kicking any dust in for the main brush to then catch, and then similar with the one on the right hand side. This is the main brush which I mentioned earlier, which is located under the seat, and as you can see, just giving you a better angle, you can see the dust rubbers at the back, and there's one at each side, and there's one in the side cover here when it goes back on. There's also a dust flap which is located at the front. As mentioned, when you're using this machine, the main brush will be on the floor and you're using it all the time. But if there is something for picking up dust and debris, but if there is something slightly larger bit of debris, if you just lift up the dust flap at the front, if you lift the lever, the dust flap will come up and it will just let any sort of larger bits of debris then go in to the main brush, and then it will throw it into the back bin. Also, whilst we're here, as said earlier, the main brush is surrounded by rubbers, so it's great for dust control and small bits of debris. We mentioned earlier as well to stay away from certainly wet conditions and any sort of damp conditions, and also to stay away from shrink wrap, banding, cable, any sort of wire, etc. It could wrap around the brush, because if it wraps around the main brush, you'll damage the main brush and you could also damage the machine. Just like you see here is a wee anti-static chain. This is meant to be here. It's just so you don't get a shock off the machine. This just slightly drags on the floor, which is all good. We'll just let you see the controls on the Tigra Sweeper. So you've got a shut off here, so if your machine's switched on, this is just an emergency shut off key. You can just turn that there and it just makes the machine completely dead. You can also take it out, but generally you should just have it in on position if everything's okay. You have your main brush, which is located under the machine as mentioned earlier. Your main brush is currently in up position, so to sweep you want to put it in the down position. So just make sure this here, that puts your main brush on the floor. And you've also got your flap which is beside it, your dust flap. So if you're finding anything, a larger bit of debris, just lift this flap up and then let it back down, and it just gets any sort of larger debris into your main brush, and then it throws it back into the bin. And finally, we have the vacuum here. So the vacuum in the down position is currently on. So you'd have that on most of the time. So if you're in any dry conditions, any sort of dusty conditions, you'd have this on. So that's to work alongside your polyester filter. It's for fine dust, so that's a good tool there. If you were going through any damp conditions, as I said earlier, you would want to try and stay away from that. But if you really need to go through some damp conditions, you would just pull this here, and pull that up, and that just switches your vacuum off. And to put it back on again, pull this wee lever here up, and then just push it back down, and that keeps your vac on for your dust control. To operate the side brushes, you need to make sure that the toggle switch is switched on and the main brush is down. As soon as you hear that, the toggle switch is on for your side brush. Pull this lever here, you'll see the side brush start to go. Okay, so I'll just show you the controls here. So you have a key for the Tigra Sweeper. You just put your key in ignition and just turn it on, and just give it a wee 5 to 10 seconds. You'll just see your battery indicator light here, which flashed red, orange, and now it's at green. So green is just showing you that the machine's fully charged, ready to go. This machine will run for around 4 hours or so, and we would just recommend running the machine flat. So it'll go to the orange light in the middle, which will be showing you half charge, and when it gets to the red light, that means you've been using it and it's getting to flat, and then you would then go and put it in charge. We'll show you how to put it in charge in just a wee moment. While we're here, there's actually a horn here as well, just located here. If you press this, it just presses a horn if you need to use that. And then you've also got your main brush toggle switch here to switch it on and off. It's currently off, so again you would make sure when you're going to use the machine that your main brush is in the down position, which I showed you earlier. So your main brush in the down position, here on the left hand side, you put your toggle switch on, and when the main brush is on, you'll hear the main brush turning. So I'll just put the toggle switch on just now. And again you switch it off and lift the brush back in the up position when you're just transporting the machine to put it in charge or to get from one area to the next. Whilst we're up here as well, I'll also let you see they've got a brake in the machine on the left hand side. When you're using the machine, if you ever need to pull the brake, you can. You can also lock the brake on. However, we would recommend if you pull this up here, press that on, that locks the brake on. However, we would recommend not ever needing to put the brake on. If the machine is switched off and you're on a reasonably flat surface, the machine shouldn't go anywhere, because you could break the machine if someone tries to use the machine with the brake on. So we'd always recommend to have the brake in the off position. Acceleration throttle on the machine. So again, if you need to go reverse, backwards, you can just press this button down here. So we're in reverse, and then the faster we turn this motorbike handle, throttle here, the faster it'll go back. You hear the beeping as well. And then you can also use your brake at any time. If you just pull your brake, you should just brake. And then if you want to go forward, press the red switch to forward, and then pull the throttle. The faster, the more you pull it, the faster the machine will go. And then you can always use your brake to stop if need be. So take you to the back of the machine where the bins are located, and also where the filter shaker is. This black lever here is the filter shaker, so in a dusty environment we would probably shake the filter every 10 to 15 minutes or so, and certainly when you're finished with the machine. So it's just a manual shaker, so you pull this with your hand, shake it up and down for a wee bit, and it just shakes and cleans your filters and empties it into the bin. And again, you can also take the bin, you've got a wee clip here located at the back, pull the wee clip back, that comes down, and this is on wheels, so it just easily wheels out, and it just lets you into your bin. So you've got two separate compartments, you just empty them into a bag or a bin, however you dispose of your rubbish. You get two bin compartments, empty them once you're finished, and then this just wheels in, you just wheel it back in, give it a wee tip up, wheel in, push up there, lock there, and just mind your fingers, push that on there and clip that on there. So the Tigra battery operated sweeper will run for around 4 hours. We would recommend running the machine completely flat. If you don't use it for the 4 hours, you only use it for an hour, then you could do it, might be the third or fourth night that you're putting the machine in charge. So we would say as well, don't opportunist charge, so don't be putting it on charge after an hour, after 2 hours. Make sure you've ran it for at least 3 to 4 hours. So 3 to 4 hours at least on a full charge. Run the machine completely flat. Once you're finished with the machine, switch the machine off, empty the bins, make sure your filters are clean, and then you just lift this up here, just with the seat, just lift this right up, and it just locks in. There's a wee safety catch here as well, so that this won't fall and hurt you. It lets you into your batteries, and it shows you your polyester filter is located in here. You don't need to touch that as long as you're shaking your filter. You've also got an hour clock which is located in here if you want to know how many hours that your machine has done. Whilst we're in here as well at the batteries, I'll just let you see there's a reset button there, just located in here. It is quite difficult to see, but we have marked this particular one up. You can, again, this shouldn't happen, but if the brush is picking up any shrink wrap cable or banding, anything it shouldn't pick up, it would then trip the switch. So we would recommend obviously safely make sure the machine is switched off, or you call an engineer to take out the stuff and then just press that in, and it will just get your brush back to working again. So these particular batteries are non-maintenance batteries, so you don't need to do anything with these batteries apart from just charge them. So once the machine's ran for around 4 hours, it's flat, then all you do is there's this plug here as well, just located here. You just pull this out here, and then you get your charger. You need to state whether you need a 110 or 240 volt charger, and we'll just plug this charger in. And when you go to plug your charger in, you have this plug here, and you just plug it into the fixed one, which is located here. So if you plug into the machine side first, and then you plug into the socket, whether it be 240 or 110, plug it in there finally, and if you give your charger around 10 to 15 seconds to load up, and then once it loads up, we'll just show it runs through the lights. So it should come onto the red light first. It should maybe take, as I said, 10 to 15 seconds to kick in. That's it kicking in now. So it's just showing you red, showing you that it's charging, the machine's flat. After, when it gets to half charge, it will show you the one in the middle, which will be orange light. And then finally, after 7 to 12 hours when it's fully charged, that's actually going to the orange just now because the machine's already been got some charge in it. So the green light will be the final light, so that will be after the full charge. You'll be ready to unplug the machine. So the charging time, we call it an overnight charge. So depending how flat the machine is, but run it flat to 3-4 hours running time, and then after anything from 7 up to maybe 12 hours to be charged. So when you come in the morning, you should see the green light, and then it's just a case of unplugging the machine. So we just unplug the charger from the machine and then unplug it from the socket on the wall. Take your charger away, and then all we're doing is just plugging the machine back in, and then just remember your safety clip here. Just lift that up, make sure your fingers are clear, and then you're good to go.